Binger isn't done pissing you off. He did a podcast a few days ago where he laid out a lot of his strategies and attitudes and beliefs. And yeah, they were pretty bad, but he's coming back for more. And once again, I'm warning you, I am not paying for your laptop if you punch the screen while you're watching this show. You might want to put a little piece of paper over his face or something. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
All right, he's back for more and he's going to deliver.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back into the card closet. This is Eric, and I'm doing something a little different tonight. Got my old best friend, Thomas Binger, who you probably all have seen on the TV in the last month or two. He was the lead prosecutor in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. He's a long friend of mine. We're figuring out we've been friends since 1976.
Yeah, Binger. Yeah, that name does ring a bell. The card closet. Why do I have a funny feeling that he's a baseball card collector?
And best friends at that. There never was a time, elementary, junior, or senior high, where if you come up to me and said, Eric, who's your best friend? Tom was the answer all the way through. So, Tom, thanks for joining me.
It's good to see you again, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. So
Hilarious.
We were in kindergarten together for all of those that are watching. We were in, was that Ms. Lickness?
Miss Lickness, yes.
Ms. Lickness's kindergarten class at Laura Wilder Elementary in 1976.
Yes.
And we were in classes together for years after that too. But there'd be a year or two in there. We're in elementary school. One of us would go someplace else. But I think probably 3 or 4 out of the 6 years or 7 years in elementary school we were in the same together.
There were 4 for the viewers. There were 4 classes of each grade, and so there was 25% chance every year that you'd be in the same class as your friends.
Right.
So, but we never strayed apart. And then I think another big thing that happened was after 6th grade, my family moved closer to your neighborhood, and at that point, we were able to just ride bike over to each other's house. And
yeah, you used to live on, was it 46th? Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you used to ride the bus. I remember that. And I rode the bus with you one day. I remember one day in particular. It was like the only day I rode the bus in elementary school, I think. So
probably we're coming home to play after school or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm guessing your life last month or two has settled down quite a bit, or hasn't it?
It has. It's been almost a month now since the trial ended, and it's calmed down. The holiday, Thanksgiving, and now we're getting close to Christmas, so that's helped a little bit.
Yeah, it has put him into the Christmas spirit of planning this persecution of Dominic Black.
Getting back to the rest of my work and my family and regular life. So that's been nice. It's calmed down a lot. A number of friendly, supportive, positive, politely worded emails is starting to trickle down to, on average, probably 1 or 2 a day as opposed to 15 or 20 a day. So it's been nice to, get grounded, get back to, get my mind off of that and focus on the other things that are important in life, So I had a lot of time with my kids.
How many politely worded emails do you think that he gets?
I got the Christmas tree up, got all the presents wrapped. Looking forward to going on a nice little vacation in a couple days and getting to some warm weather. So it's going to be a good holiday season. The rest of the month is going to be pretty low key for me, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Old Thomas Binger trying to paint himself as just the ordinary guy who tries to have 17-year-old kids thrown in prison for the rest of their lives.
You deserve it after what you've been through.
Oh yeah, he deserves it after what he's been through.
The last time you were home here in Sioux Falls, we got together at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep.
And you had asked me that night, you said, have you heard of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial? And I said, no, never heard of it. And you said, you will.
Well, you told me you were getting into the watch.
I've got to go back and play that. Hang on.
Well, you told me you.
Probably not a good time to clean out your ears there, Binger.
We're getting into watching the true crime documentaries and the coverage of some of the big trials.
Yes.
And I thought, well, this will probably be one of those that'll rise to that level. And so I thought,
yeah,
if you're really interested in that, then this is going to be right up your alley.
Yeah, I've been kind of in this phase watching court cases, and first one I watched was the Casey Anthony case in Orlando, Florida, from about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I watched that thing from beginning to end, and then I worked my way through the whole O.J. Simpson trial.
Woo.
Yeah, and then took a month or two off. And then you mentioned that you had a trial coming up that was going to be big. So yeah, did the trial change your life?
No, it didn't.
No, I was a rat before and I'm a rat now.
I got exposed to a lot of things I've never been exposed to. Some good, a lot bad.
Obviously, it wasn't the facts. You weren't exposed to them.
But no, it hasn't changed my life. I continue to do what I like to do. I continue to live my life. I think there are clearly people out there in the world that have gone through what I've gone through, either as a defense attorney or prosecutor or private attorney, whatever.
Yeah, there are people who have gone through what you've been through. There are people who've been through worse, like the kid that you tried to put in jail forever.
And you can take this and you can turn it into something. You can become something. You can become a talking head on TV. You can become a celebrity. You can a D- list celebrity, right? You can become a lower level Kato Kalin type or whatever.
No, to become a celebrity, there has to be people out there who will like you. And comedian? No, not even. You're not funny. You're an asshole. No one's fooled.
So people can do that. And maybe I could have tried to do that. I don't know. I don't care. It's not at all what I'm interested in. You and I were just talking a little bit ago. We're both from South Dakota, and South Dakotans, in my opinion, are...
Sorry, South Dakota. You're just collateral damage in this conversation.
Are humble, down to earth, unassuming, unprepossessing, like grounded folks. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't seek out the limelight. We're not going around doing the self-promotion thing. It's not our forte. And that's who I am. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, that's right. What we see is what we get, and we see a jackass.
I was, after the jury finished up, I was invited on Good Morning America and CNN and NBC and blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, that's all of them. Partially because I think professionally, I don't think it's my role as a prosecutor, but...
Oh, he's all of a sudden professional, right? Placing evidence in front of the jury that the jury was not supposed to see, that is professional in his book.
Other people might have seen that different, but it's also personally me. I'm not terribly comfortable talking about myself. I'm not terribly comfortable in the spotlight. I'll do it when I have to, and I think I can handle it, but it's not something I'm seeking out. It's not something I thrive on. I would prefer to get back to being anonymous and just keep my head down and do my job and raise my family and spend my time with my friends and, live my life. And I don't need any of that other stuff. So,
I've been following a little bit about, what people say. And as I'm watching these videos, there's thousands of comments in these videos of the trial,
Sure.
50% of the people love you and 50% hate you. And
I have yet to see anybody that loves him. What's this 50% love you crap? Really? Really? Where you show me any video where 50% of the comments are people who love him. Not even the people who hate Kyle Rittenhouse and wanted him convicted like this dude. Everybody said that he was a creepy little shit. The people who wanted Kyle thrown in jail just felt that he wasn't good enough at his job to get it done. And of course, the people who were supporting Kyle, like me, knew what he was about. There's no 50% like him. It's maybe 5%.
Is it weird kind of being a polarizing person like that?
You're not a polarizing figure, Binger. If anything, you're one who congeals people together. You coalesce people together because no matter how we feel about Kyle Rittenhouse or Trump or Biden or any of those things, we've all come together and decided that we hate you. We either hate you because you weren't able to get an obviously guilty kid thrown in jail, or we hate you because you persecuted an innocent 17-year-old. But whatever the case, we have all come to an agreement.
It is. I had another jury trial last week. It was a sex assault case, and I lost. This is the first sex assault case I've ever lost, and I don't know why. The jurors don't tell you all their reasoning.
Yeah, possibly because you suck.
But I wonder. I did not ask them. I thought about it. I thought about asking them at the beginning of the trial, like, is there anybody who feels that because of what happened in the Rittenhouse case that somehow it'll change your view of me or the prosecution or hold it against me or blah, blah, blah. And I didn't
hold it against you? What's this 50% crap that we heard just a few minutes ago? You know you're repugnant. In fact, you're concerned that the reason why the jury let some dude off was because they hated you. And they probably did. I'll be honest with you. If I'm on the jury and you're prosecuting some poor bastard, I'd be inclined to think not guilty myself.
I asked that question because I felt like, ooh, look at me, look out, don't you know who I am? Blah blah blah. I don't want to play that.
Yeah.
Like it's not about me, right? But I wonder, like, I go out in public, and there are times when I can tell that somebody's looking at me, and people come up to me from time to time, and it's usually been positive. There's only been one negative. Everyone else
Oh, yeah, right. Who believes this story?
has been positive, and maybe the negatives are just too polite to say anything. But
What positives could you present to this dude? Hey, I really like the way that you got the judge to yell and scream at you for violating the defendant's civil rights. Hey, I really like the way that you lost that case. Hey, I really like the way that you embarrassed yourself time and time and again by putting people on the stand who turned out to submarine your argument. What's their positive? You didn't do anything positive in that trial. There isn't one redeeming quality, one redeeming feature of anything that you did during that trial that anybody could be proud of. Think about it. What if you wanted to put together a video of Binger's best moments in the trial? What would you put in there? Really, at what point did he shine on anything? It would have to be the shortest video on YouTube.
I was at the gym today. I was working out. I had my gym clothes on. I'm lifting weights. I've got my buddy there. We're hanging
Yeah, lifting weights. Who believes this story?
out. We're talking, and out of the blue, this young blonde kid, I don't know, he's probably 20 years old, comes up to me. And I mean, it was literally like 5 seconds. Like he comes up and he's like, hey, he's got his phone in his hand. He's like, hey, I'm a big fan. Can I get a selfie with you?
Yeah, he probably was a big fan of you because he was a pro Kyle person. And he really, really wanted Kyle Rittenhouse exonerated. And he got the perfect dude for that. Who believes this story? He's at the gym lifting weights, and some kid comes up and says, oh, you're my hero.
I'm like, I don't want to be rude. So I'm like, look, it's flattering. Thank you. But I'm not comfortable with that. Thanks. And he's like, oh, no problem. It's okay. That's why I asked. And he went off. I'm at the gym. I'm not even wearing a suit. Like, I'm just hanging out with my buddy. I'm talking about stuff. Like, I'm trying to lift weights. Like, really?
Yeah, trying to lift weights. That's more like it. I believe that part.
Yeah. This was the first time that had happened?
No, it's not. But it's the most recent time. And it's just, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, so many of this stuff has been negative. So much of it's been negative that I'm kind of gun shy now. I go out and I go to the store. I go,
No pun intended.
Yeah. And I keep my eyes down. I don't make eye contact. I don't want to. I don't know what people are going to do. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't want to deal with it. Like I'm here to buy some groceries. Leave me alone. Like I'm a regular guy. I got kids. I got a house. I got a dog. Like I'm trying to live my life. Like stop. I don't need
Just
this.
doing your job, right?
Yeah. I don't.
What a regular guy. Gee, are you sick yet? Have you damaged your laptop yet? Here is Thomas Clair Binger trying to paint himself as the ordinary guy. He's a metrosexual, persecuting son of a bitch. He's unethical, he's unprofessional, and frankly, he shouldn't be a lawyer.
I don't want to be a lightning rod. I don't want people to, care about any of that stuff. Like, just let me live my life and move on with yours, right? Like,
Yeah.
If you're all upset about the case. I mean, some of these people, it's funny. I get these emails like, you're the worst prosecutor in the world. I can't believe you had this case. And I think, well, if you really thought this guy was innocent, wouldn't you want the worst prosecutor in the world to handle the case? Like, I mean, I understand what you're trying to say here. Like, if I'm so awful, wouldn't I be your first choice for being the prosecutor on a guy that you think is innocent? Like,
Yeah, that's right. He's actually got this right. Of all the prosecutors out there, he was the one we really wanted. Keep in mind, if Mike Gravely was prosecuting this case, Kyle would have been in a little bit more trouble. We were lucky. We got an absolute ignoramus as a prosecutor, and it worked in Kyle's favor. So in a certain sense, he's right. But you can call somebody the worst prosecutor in the world and hate him because he's so terrible at his job that he just offends all of your sensibilities. It's okay. When he violated Kyle's Fifth Amendment rights during the trial, it's okay to hate him, even though you know fully well that the man is so incompetent that your boy is probably going to get sprung.
I don't understand this, So it's it's shown me that people have the endless capacity to be trolls on the internet and come up with all sorts of new and creative ways to try and get at someone. I was telling you earlier, there's a company in Pennsylvania that you can go to and pay them some money, and they will put some feces in a plastic bag, and they will ship it anonymously to anyone in the world that you want them to send it to. So
How do we get a hold of this company? I'm just kidding. Don't do it. Look, I hate him for good reason, but we don't need to be doing that kind of crap.
I've had two separate people that have paid probably $40, I don't know, to have this company ship me plastic bags full of what claims to be gorilla feces. I didn't test it. I didn't smell it. I'm not familiar enough with gorilla feces to verify whether or not this is 100% accurate. But today I got an email randomly from eBay that apparently there's some book on ethics that's being shipped to me, and it's coming soon, which I've not ordered any such book. So I can only assume this is someone out there that's spending their money.
Yeah, the fact that he's never ordered a book called Ethics, we could believe that part.
To send me a book, which is like, come on. Whatever, people, it's a different world we live in. The internet enables this. I don't think people did this 30, 40 years ago. I think, you go to somebody's face and you talk to them directly and you politely explain to them that you disagree with them, and that's fine. But this anonymous internet stuff is just...
It's not a matter of disagreement. And this is the part that really pisses me off about it. There's no disagreement here. Nobody that watched that trial can agree with you that you didn't violate that kid's Fifth Amendment rights. You know it. There's no disagreement here. You're repugnant. We all agree on it. You're just pissed off that people can actually get that message to you now. Before, you could go on and on and on and violate people's constitutional rights, and no one could say anything to you. But now there's the internet.
It's pathetic, but it's the world we live in.
So now you're back to normal. Caseload is typical caseload now, or
Yep. I had a full week in court last week, handling all my cases. Setting some for trial, resolving some. Handling some motion hearings. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my regular job. Every 3 weeks I'm in court, and every 3 weeks I'm doing trials, and I'm handling my regular cases, which run the gamut from homicides down to traffic tickets. So we do everything. So I'll never forget my first homicide trial. I convicted a guy of murdering his girlfriend, and the jury came back and found him guilty.
He was probably innocent, but who cares? It was a victory.
And literally, the moment the jury walked out of the courtroom, they called the next case, and it was a case in which someone had received a ticket from the Department of Natural Resources for fishing from a pier without a license. It's like a $150 ticket, and I had to do a trial. I had to call in the game warden to testify about this, and I thought, you can't go further from one end of the spectrum to the other than a homicide to a fishing from a pier without a license for $150. And it grounded me. It just reminded me that, you can, think you're hot stuff for doing a homicide trial, and then your next case is a fishing from a pier.
I wonder how many years in prison the fisherman spent.
Pier without a license. Like, it's just, that's what we do, And I don't think people out there really understand what prosecutors do. I mean, I'm one of 10,000 prosecutors in the United States.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. There's 10,000 more like him.
This is what we all do every single day. And if you back the badge and you support law enforcement and you love your local police officer, well, then you love me too, because they can't do anything without me.
No, we don't love you. Let's make this really clear here. We don't hate you because you're a prosecutor. We hate you because you're unethical. We hate you because you knowingly and deliberately violate constitutional rights, all because you want a conviction regardless of whether you think that the person is guilty or not. You look upon these cases as games, and you will stoop to any level to try to win. That's why we hate you. It's not because you're a prosecutor. I'm sure that there are some good prosecutors out there, but they're far, far more ethical than you.
Me, and vice versa. I always think about Law and Order. You ever watch Law and Order?
I have.
Yeah.
Not regular, but
the original Law and Order. Do you know what their opening, their title, their credit sequence is?
No.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crimes and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. Bum, bum. And that's what it is. First 30 minutes was the cops, and second 30 minutes was the prosecutors. And that's the way it works. You back the badge, you got to back prosecutors, because cops aren't going to be able to do anything without us.
No, we don't have to back the prosecutors when they act like you. Just like we don't have to back police when they act up. This is not a back the blue moment. You're trying to paint this thing as, well, if we like police, we have to like you. No, we can like police and really get disgusted by your behavior in court. Yes, We want criminals prosecuted, but we also want criminals' constitutional rights protected during the trial. It's not win at all costs with us.
How many of you are there in Kenosha County?
I think we've got 18 in our office total, assigned to various things. We've got some folks that do juvenile prosecution, so that's generally kids under 16 who are delinquent or are in the child welfare system because they're in foster care or their parents neglected them or whatever. And then the rest of us handle pretty much the gamut of adult criminal cases, which
Well, that's good. At least he's not trying to send some 14-year-old to the gallows.
is, like I said, anything from homicides down to traffic tickets. So.
And was Kyle Rittenhouse just your turn in the rotation, or how did you get it?
So our office is headed up by a man by the name of Mike Gravely, and Mike Gravely is literally the best prosecutor in the state of Wisconsin. And I'm not exaggerating because he literally just was awarded that title. He won the award for the best prosecutor in the state of Wisconsin at the most recent statewide prosecutor conference. This is the second time he's won that award. He won it back in 2016 also. So he has been recognized by his peers as the best. And he heads up our office. He's been a prosecutor for over 30 years, and he is the best prosecutor I've ever worked with. He has it all. He's sharp, he's cunning, he's personable, he's the best storyteller I've ever met. He's this, I don't know if he's as tall as you are, but he's up there. He's 6'3", 6'4". He lights up the room. He's just got this personality that just fills up a space.
You and Mike should just get a room.
He's got that physical persona. He's got that enthusiasm. He's got the sense of humor. He's got the storytelling. A lot of things that I personally don't have. I don't have that charisma. I don't have that force.
Yeah, we noticed.
Of nature, and I admire him for that. I wish I did. When all this happened with Rittenhouse, it was precipitated by the shooting of a black man by a white police officer. And in Wisconsin, the elected DA in our county has to make the decision as to whether or not that police shooting was justified. So he already had that on his plate, and that was going to be a very difficult and controversial decision because there are a lot of people out there that just view, these incidents as racism, as just another black man shot by a white cop. And then, of course, you've got the other side of the equation, which are people that believe law enforcement is unfairly maligned and they're under siege, and we need to support them because they're out there working hard every day to protect us, and they deserve our support. And there are certainly thousands, if not millions, of really awesome police officers out there. So, it's a situation where there are strong feelings on both sides, and he already had that on his plate. And then 2 days after that, Rittenhouse happens, and he decided that with all that on his plate, that he needed someone else to take the lead on Rittenhouse. And so he asked me to do so.
That's called Kyle's lucky day.
I think there are probably a couple different reasons why he asked me. I think number one, he asked me because I think he understood that was something that I believed in and that I would be feeling strongly about the case. And obviously there are cases that we feel strongly about, and there are cases where we're maybe not as adamant about. And it's always good to be working in favor of something that you feel strongly about. So that was a plus. And I think the other reason he asked me was because, quite honestly, I'm, other than him, probably the most experienced prosecutor in the office. And I think I'm the kind of person that he can turn to and hand something off like this to, and have faith that, I'm going to take it
and get beat
and handle it. And he can, basically say, okay, that's in good hands and I don't need to worry about it anymore. So
that's true. If you don't really care if you lose the case, then you can turn it over to him, no problem.
He came to me a couple of days afterwards. He asked me. He didn't order me. It wasn't it wasn't a command. It was a choice, and I had the opportunity to say no if I wanted to, and I said yes. And I said yes because of my personal feelings, but I also am at that point in my career after doing this for 25 years where if I'm not going to take this, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
If I'm not ready for something like this, then I might as well go, sweep the back room and just
Go ahead and sweep the back rooms because you weren't ready for it. You got whooped. Hey, man, at what point do you not realize that you got beat badly?
Shut it down. I've spent my career working hard, learning, getting a lot of experience handling the tough cases, and I'd like to think that I'm ready for that. So, yeah, I didn't fully anticipate at that moment what it all would turn into, of course. Nobody's got a crystal ball. But
we do. We have a crystal ball. Okay, we're looking into the crystal ball, and we see Thomas Clair Binger, and we see a young kid. He's 18 or 19 years old, and oh my gosh, Thomas Clair Binger is going to prosecute him for a gun charge. His name is Dominic Black. Now, what can we see in our crystal ball? Oh, we see Thomas Clair Binger violating his constitutional rights. Yeah, we can see it.
I knew that there'd be a lot of attention. I knew that it would be a high-profile case. I knew that there'd be a lot of challenges. And like I said, if I'm not ready to handle that, then what am I doing here?
Yeah, you weren't ready.
If you can't count on me to do that, then I shouldn't be in this office. I shouldn't be part of this team. So
did his case go to court yet?
Who's that?
Your boss, who was busy with another case at the time?
Yeah. So he announced his final decision on that officer-involved shooting back in January. In fact, he made the announcement on January 5th. And the timing of that was quite serendipitous because, as everybody knows, the Capitol incident, whatever you want to call it, where folks broke down the defenses at the United States Capitol and tried to stop the vote and everything, occurred the following day. And he knew when he made his announcement, he ruled that shooting was a justified shooting. And I think the facts are quite clear on that. I think people saw some video up front of what happened and maybe jumped to some conclusions. But when all the facts came out, it was quite clear that this was someone who was armed. This was someone who had disobeyed commands, who had already been tased, who had struggled with officers, who had, gone towards children with a weapon. And there was no other alternatives at that point than to do what that officer did. And I actually personally know the officer who did that shooting. And I was saddened by the fact that this all came down on his head because, quite honestly, he is one of the finest officers I've ever worked with. And his name is Rustin Shesky. I hope he comes back to active, investigative duty soon. I don't know where he's at right now in the process, but he was one of those officers that when I saw his name in the reports on a particular case and I knew he was involved, I closed the file and moved on because I knew it's good.
Who believes this crap? Yeah. Now, look, I think that Officer Rustin Shesky was also not guilty, but the case for Kyle Rittenhouse was even stronger. Jacob Blake didn't chase after Officer Shesky. He was trying to get away from Officer Shesky. I could see almost a case made for Officer Rustin Shesky's guilt. Well, now I say almost. I analyzed that case and realized early on that Officer Rustin Shesky did nothing wrong. But with the case with Kyle Rittenhouse, Joseph Rosenbaum is chasing him. And yet, he thinks that Officer Rustin Shesky's innocence is just a foregone conclusion.
If he's on it, I don't need to worry. If he's involved, I know it's thorough. I know it's good. I have no questions. We're satisfied. I'm going to move on to the next one because I'll devote my attention to that one and not worry about that other one anymore because I know he's on it. So anyway, on January 5th, Mike Gravely announced at a press conference that the shooting was justified, and we were prepared at that particular moment for a huge outcry and reaction because we knew it was going to be controversial and there were a lot of strong feelings on both sides. Fortunately, it was in the middle of winter, so weather tends to dampen the marching in the streets and all that good stuff. And then within 24 hours, the Capitol thing happened and it wiped it all off the front pages. And he couldn't have known that it would work out that way, but oh my goodness, you couldn't have picked better timing in hindsight than when that all came down. So after that, obviously he's got all sorts of responsibilities and other things that keep him busy, but he was very helpful. I would constantly bounce ideas off, him and strategies and notions like that. So he's an incredible resource that I've always treasured the ability to rely on and talk to him about ideas and strategies and techniques and how to resolve cases and things like that. So it's a great resource to have someone with his expertise available. So since then he's been incredibly supportive. I just talked to him yesterday about things, and he stopped in and wanting to make sure that I had everything I needed and was well taken care of. So he's been a great boss, and I very much value that kind of support.
Good. So the judge, what were the chances of getting him as a judge? How many different judges are in the rotation?
We have 4 judges that handle criminal cases in Kenosha, and the odds were pretty good that we were going to get him because a lot of defendants, it's a legal procedure called substitution of judge. So when a criminal defendant is originally charged and their case is sent to any judge, they have a one kick at the cat at the very beginning of the case to what we call substitute judges, which basically means I don't want that judge, give me a different one. And then it randomly gets assigned to one of the other ones. We know after many years that Judge Bruce Schrader is a judge who a lot of defendants will substitute and go to a different judge. So most of our felony criminal cases start with him under the assumption that a large percentage of them are going to substitute elsewhere. So ideally, if we had 4 judges where everything was equal, you'd have 25% on each, but we give a higher percentage to him because we know that a lot of them are going to wind up going someplace else. So the odds of it starting there were pretty strong. And from the defense perspective, I think they had good, sound reasons why they wanted to stay there. And obviously, it worked out in their favor.
Yeah, I'll tell you the reasons. Judge Bruce Schroeder is known as the hanging judge, okay? So he gives out stiff sentences, but he was also the one person that they could count on to not let this guy get away with crap inside the courtroom. That's why they stuck with him. They knew very well that Thomas Clair Binger was going to be pushing one stupid motion after another, and they knew that Judge Bruce Schroeder was going to hand those things right back to him and say, get out of here. Kick this crap out of my courtroom. That's why they chose him, and it was a good choice.
I have to work with Judge Bruce Schroeder. He'll be a judge that I'll appear in front of in the future. So, and I'm always careful about anything I say about colleagues, attorneys, judges, anything like that. What I will say is that off the bench, Judge Bruce Schroeder is just about the nicest human being you could possibly meet. He is a prince. He is a kindly gentleman. He is a good person. He is a huge Milwaukee Brewers fan, front row seats. Marquette University, Al McGuire, like the whole 9 yards. He is you can talk to him about the Brewers. For some reason, he's a Chicago Blackhawks fan, which I'm not sure how that jives, but he's a big sports fan. He's got to be in his mid-70s now. He's the longest serving judge in Wisconsin, currently on the bench in Wisconsin. Might be the longest in history. I don't know. And I'll say this, if I'm that age and I'm half as sharp as he is, I'll be proud, because he is still incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly quick-witted, incredibly sharp. He knows the law. He can expound at, as we saw during the trial, he can expound at length about Roman history and the Catholic Church and the founders of our country and William Penn and blah, 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 blah. So he knows, if currently on the bench in Wisconsin, might be the longest in history. I don't know. And I'll say this, if I'm that age and I'm half as sharp as he is, I'll be proud, because he is still.
If you get his age and you're a tenth as sharp as he is, we'll be shocked.
Incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly quick-witted, incredibly sharp. He knows the law. He can expound at, as we saw during the trial, he can expound at length about Roman history and the Catholic Church and the founders of our country and William Penn and blah, 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 blah. So he knows 10 times as much as I ever will. So.
Yeah, we get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I practice in front of him regularly for a 2-year period that I was in his court, assigned to his court. Nothing that you saw during that trial was unusual. Now, I've seen that all. I've had him yell at me.
Okay, I'm giving you a warning. If you're enraged by now, you may want to go ahead and take a break, because he's now going to light you up. Listen in.
Do all the things, the Jeopardy questions, the jury, the answering his phone in court, the pontifications about this, that, or the other thing. We've all seen it before. And I know a lot of people out there were like, "Ooh, you got yelled at by the judge." Dude, come on. This is the life. And nobody has ever gone through their career without getting yelled at by a judge. No one has ever practiced in that court has gone without getting yelled at by him for one reason or the other.
For one reason or the other. Yeah, we all get yelled at by the judge. It's expected. It's routine. It's common. We always violate the defendant's constitutional rights, and the judge gets mad at us, and that's just the way it is. I mean, you have to be willing to do that if you're going to be a prosecutor. That's his attitude. We create constitutional rights because we don't want the innocent convicted of crimes they didn't do. But to him, these constitutional rights are barriers to his successful prosecution. And so what does he do? He violates constitutional rights continuously, and the judge gets mad at him, yells at him. And to him, it's just, that's just the way it is. That's just the price you pay.
Par for the course.
And I assume when the trial's over, you guys are talking in the hallway afterwards and it's over, right?
I would do the same with the defense attorneys. Mark Richards, the lead defense attorney. I would happily go grab a beer with him right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of respect for you, though. He already talked about you after the trial and basically said that he was really shocked that you pulled off so many underhanded tactics. Look, let's be clear here. We want a fair trial. That's what everybody should want. He doesn't. That's the difference. He does not want a fair trial. And so he's thinking to himself like, well, if I could get the jury to think that this kid deserves to be punished because he bragged about wanting to shoot some protesters or looters at a CVS store, then I can win. And that's what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'll just blurt this thing out in front of the jury. Okay. And yes, Judge Bruce Schroeder will yell at me, but that's par for the course, whatever. But in the end, I win because I get that in front of the jury. They go into the back room while the judge chews me out, and they're thinking, well, maybe he did threaten them before he shot them. Oh my God, what's up with that, right? So that's what his scheme is. Think about it this way. What about the Pudgy's incident? With the hand symbol? I mean, what would prevent him from just going to the jury and saying, by the way, you do realize that he drank at a bar with a bunch of white supremacists and flashed the white supremacy symbol. Of course, the judge would have to throw all the jury out and he would chew Binger out. How dare you say this? And what would Binger do? Like, blah, 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 whatever. I got it in front of the jury. I got them now more likely to convict a person, and it doesn't matter if the jury wasn't supposed to hear that. He doesn't care. He has no respect for ethics. He has no respect for your constitutional rights. None whatsoever.
No hard feelings. We will tear each other's guts out in the courtroom. I am diametrically opposed to his client. I wanted his client to go to prison for life. I'm going to fight like tooth and nail in the courtroom. But outside of the courtroom, it's not for me.
It's all a big game. That's what it looks like. It's after the game, you shake your hands with your opponents.
At least it's not personal. I don't know what he thinks. I haven't talked to him since then, but it's a job. I take it seriously. I do it well. I fight hard, but it's not personal. With the judge, the defense attorney, it's not. That's not the way I see things. Some other people may be different, and that's okay. That's their choice, but that's not the way I do things.
Really? That's not how you see things? When you violated Kyle Rittenhouse's constitutional rights by bringing up the fact that he did not go to the police, a blatant violation of the Fifth Amendment, you don't see that? You don't see anything wrong with that, really? That's what you're saying? That it's just all a matter of opinion. There are people out there who think that I violated his Fifth Amendment rights out there. Well, they're entitled to their opinion. No, you did. And you don't care.
In your previous trials with this judge, had you ever gotten brazen with him before?
See?
I just had to ask.
Absolutely.
I've violated constitutional rights many times. This is not the first time. Come on. It's routine. It's par for the course.
Not at the point in my career where I butter people up. And
oh no, you're not the kind that would butter people up. Think here. Has he buttered anybody up here before?
He has it all. He's sharp. He's cunning. He's personable. He's the best storyteller I've ever met. He's this. I don't know if he's as tall as you are, but he's up there. He's 6'3", 6'4". He lights up the room. He's just got this personality that just fills up a space. That's the way to success in some places. You have to kiss the ring. You have to kowtow to their every whim. You have to play that game. And there are people who do that, and they're really good at it. I've never been good at it. I've never been comfortable with it. And at this stage in my life, I just don't care.
Yeah, he's right. He's not good at it, but he certainly tries.
I just don't feel like it. That's not who I am. And I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. So, I was in his court for 2 years. We butted heads regularly. And there were times in which we were, very upset with one another and critical of one another. And I pushed back at him and he would do his thing to me. And I'd like to think that he understands that I'm doing my job. It's not personal.
No, when he's yelling at you, he's not yelling at you because he thinks you're doing your job. He's yelling at you because he thinks that you're violating somebody's rights. And you're doing it intentionally. That's why he's pissed off at you. But by the way, all of you Judge Bruce Schroeder fans out there, you have to understand something. Judge Schroeder is in on this game. Okay? He knows fully well that Binger doesn't give a damn about him yelling at him. Judge Schroeder is not going to do anything to Binger because they're fellow lawyers. Lawyers look after each other. And that's something that you're just going to have to understand. Binger is not going to be in trouble because Judge Bruce Schroeder would never report him for anything. It doesn't matter what Binger does. It's a big game to these people, and Judge Schroeder is in on the game.
That outside of that, we can go have a drink. We can talk about the Brewers. We can talk about whatever, and it's all good. But I have a job to do. I take it seriously.
Notice how everybody involved doesn't give a damn about the defendant. Oh, we get done and we just go out and have beers and we laugh and we party. Yeah, I told you, you're going to get angry. And if the jury had come back and convicted Kyle would be sitting in prison right now. And what would Judge Bruce Schroeder be doing? He'd be out there partying with Binger, laughing, telling jokes. That's the way the system is. There's none of them's on our side. We're just pesky little citizens, as Rick Gore would say. Although Rick's big aim is at police officers, mine is at lawyers and judges. We're just peons in their eyes. And in the end, after they get done violating our rights, they go out and party.
Feel personally like I have a certain ethics, a certain integrity, a certain responsibility.
He has a big mouth.
Yeah, you have a certain ethics, a certain integrity. All right. You know what? I can't deal with this anymore. I just can't. I'm going to stop the video here. He pisses me off to an extreme. Oh my God. But I will tell you something. He's exposing how the law looks at you, the ordinary citizen. You're just a pawn in their game. And he will gladly send a 17-year-old kid off to a lifetime of prison because it's part of the game. It's part of the fun. And yeah, that pesky judge will get in the way. He'll yell at me a little, but he's in on it too. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.